Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Welcome in. Wicked Boston show with Cam Stewart on the Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week, live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. Welcome to your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. Today, we are talking the big debate, Maye versus Stafford. Who will actually win the NFL MVP and why? Is there one of them that's already disqualified for this bizarre reason? Plus, Drake Maye is the best player on the Patriots, but we're going to tell you about the most underrated, the most slept on, the most versatile player on the Patriots, why Marcus Jones is such an important part of whatever this franchise is going to do in the next couple of years. And the thing that is upsetting me the most in the sports world today. If you take Olympic hockey away from me this year, we could have some problems on our hands, Italy. Apparently, that arena not even close to ready and is going to have a smaller ice surface than the NHL. Can the NHL put together another Four Nations tournament to combat it? All that and more coming up on this episode of the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. We start where we start. It's in the thumbnail. It's why you're here. The talk around Boston, is there a new MVP with the New England Patriots? Certainly Drake Maye has been playing that way so far this season. Pats are 11-2, best record in football in a 10-game winning streak. It's almost hard to argue against Drake Maye for the NFL MVP at this point, but for the fact that Matthew Stafford is really, really good and is having a career year. It has gone back and forth basically every week. Drake Maye, Matthew Stafford. The hot, young, rising star who looks like she should be on the SI swimsuit cover, or the stone cold cougar on the other side of the pool. She's a divorcee. She's been around the block a few times. She's got some money with it. She knows what it takes to win, and she's got the status. It's basically Sydney Sweeney versus Jennifer Aniston here. That's what it's coming down to. Drake Maye, the hot new thing, very much at the top of the class, though. And Stafford has always been a star, but not quite this. He's getting better with age. He's playing his best football at 37 years old. He's already got the Super Bowl trophy. He's pining for this lifetime achievement award almost. And statistically speaking, it's pretty damn close in every major category but one. Let's take a look at the numbers here. The Maye versus Stafford tale of the tape. Obviously, championships aren't going to matter much into this discussion in terms of an MVP this year. But you look at it, two teams at the top of the NFL, and when you go by the kind of percentage stats, it's all Drake Maye, leading the league in completion percentage, an absurd 71.5. Passing yards per attempt, passing yards per game. By the way, how about Drake Maye leading in passing yards per game? Because I've heard a lot about what numbers that Drake has or has not hit in passing yards over the last couple of weeks. A better passer rating, albeit that one is really, really close. And obviously the rushing numbers are going to go towards Drake Maye. You know, he wasn't second-year Lamar Jackson, but the rushing numbers are always going to favor Drake Maye. And when it comes to the counting stats, Maye has more passing yards than Stafford, but he's also played one more game. Still, I mean, that's a pretty big difference for one game. It's about 350 yards. So that'd be a pretty good Matt Stafford game that he'd have to compete with to get on the level of Drake Maye. And of course, the only thing that Stafford is really like beating Maye significantly in those major categories is touchdown passes. 32-23 with a game in hand. You know, that's impressive. That's a big difference in a pretty meaningful stat, but it's not the only stat. So who you got? DraftKings has Drake Maye slight favorite this week after he had a big game on Monday night. Stafford had a hiccup on Sunday in a loss for the Rams. And it feels like that's what we're looking at. We're scoreboard watching. We're seeing how Maye did one day and Stafford did the other. And two prominent NFL analysts are on the Maye train. Read this morning and found it very, very fascinating when looking at kind of the tail of the tape here and everything that comes into the MVP debate. Just today, Chad Graff and Nate Adkins wrote for this piece, said, quote, I'm going to read a lot of it here because it's good. The case for Maye boils down to this. No player in the league is more valuable to his team than Maye is. He's not surrounded by immense talent. He doesn't have a Nakua at wide receiver. For all the success of Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator, he's not considered one of the sport's most elite offensive minds, as McVay is. But Maye has teamed up with Coach Mike Vrabel to not just turn this franchise around, but to turn it into a serious contender incredibly quickly. Then, even if you strip away the surrounding circumstances, Maye still has the best numbers in the league. as we kind of went over a second ago. He has more yards per attempt than Stafford, more yards per game, and a better completion percentage. If the award is really supposed to go to the player who's most valuable to his team, it should go to Maye. And see, this is where I'm really fascinated. This side of the argument, the value of it. Because I think in all sports, we lose the V in MVP a lot of the times. And I take it personally, probably because as a diehard Red Sox fan, I was heartbroken as a 9-year-old in 2006 when David Ortiz hit 54 home runs and didn't win the MVP. Because the Red Sox finished in third. They didn't make the playoffs. The Minnesota Twins had Justin Morneau have an absolute tear in the last 2 months of the season, and they made the playoffs. And so Morneau got the trophy. And so ever since then, I've been hell-bent on finding out who has the V in MVP. And when it comes to that, it's Drake Maye's award to lose. Considering the fact that his team was 4-13 a year ago, and in the first season of a new head coach and a new OC, they're the best team in football, that is insane value. That's where it almost becomes inarguable. The value of most valuable player has to favor Drake Maye, right? But then you look at it from Stafford's side of things, because you need to do that as well, right? And obviously with the career he's had and the year he's having, he deserves that kind of respect. Now, I think Josh McDaniels is regarded as one of the greatest offensive minds in football, personally. They kind of poo-poo it a little bit. But Sean McVay is definitely seen as the offensive mind in football. Not one of the, but the one. And Stafford has Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua at his disposal. And he's coached by the greatest offensive mind in football. Should we be holding Stafford back for that? I think that becomes the question here. How deep are we going to go into the environment? There are some other things that people are bringing up that I think is crazy to hold against Drake Maye. People talk about the fact that he hasn't thrown for a 300-yard game yet. And that's crazy. It's wild that he's been this good and he goes over 260 every week and he doesn't hit 300. But does that really matter when he's throwing for 10 yards more per game than Matthew Stafford is? That means Stafford had a 340-yard game and a 170-yard game. But Drake hasn't had a 170-yard game. He throws for 255 every week. Or how about the fact that Drake Maye has 0 fourth-quarter comebacks this year? Do we hold that against him? Here's a guy who his team hasn't been trailing in the fourth quarter for 10 weeks. And we're going to hold that against him? Does that feel right? For what it's worth, Matthew Stafford only has 1 fourth-quarter comeback this year. And while Maye has 0, he did go up to Buffalo, the best team on his schedule. And, a team that's won the division 5 straight years, went up to Buffalo on a Sunday night when no one gave him a chance, and they were tied with 2 minutes left, and he led a game-winning drive. That doesn't count as a fourth-quarter comeback. They never trailed. So, see, this is what I mean. How far are we willing to go with this? Are we going to hold that against Drake Maye because his team hasn't trailed in the fourth quarter in 10 weeks? Are we going to hold it against Matthew Stafford for having a great offensive coach? I think those are dumb things to hold against Drake Maye. So should I hold similar things against Matthew Stafford? Guess it's all about how you weigh it, because value is part of this. And if we're being real with ourselves here, Drake Maye has Stephon Diggs on the wrong side of 30 coming off an ACL. He's having a good year, but other than that, it's pretty much the same as last year's team, which was arguably the worst offense in football. You improved your offensive line a little bit. Morgan Moses on the wrong side of 30. Will Campbell having a good year, but a left tackle who's a rookie left side of the line. And back to that receiving core, Kayshon Boutte and Pop Douglas and Matt Collins do not equate to Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. I'm sorry, they don't. And I just wonder how much that factors into things, because growing up watching football in the NFL in the 2000s, it didn't factor in very much, or else Tom Brady would have about 6 or 7 MVPs because he had the least to work with of any of the star quarterbacks. But, Peyton Manning wins 4 or 5. I think it's 4. And, that's fine. I'm not even arguing against that. But Peyton Manning had an All-Pro or a Hall of Fame, at least one All-Pro or Hall of Fame receiver on his team at all times during his NFL career. He literally goes from Marshall Faulk to Marvin Harrison to Reggie Wayne to even in Denver with Wes Welker and Demaryius Thomas. Those were all pro receivers. He never had a time where he had as limited an arsenal as Drake Maye has right now. In fact, there are very few years in Matthew Stafford's career where he's had an arsenal as limited as Drake Maye has right now. As bad as the Lions were, he did always have Calvin Johnson, or for a lot of that time, he had Calvin Johnson. And then he goes to the Rams, and they're stacked. So how much do we factor into that? Clearly, it didn't factor in much when it came to Peyton Manning's MVPs and Aaron Rodgers' MVPs, and the 8 or 9 that they have between them. Bottom line is, for the most part of my lifetime watching the NFL, it has been a most outstanding player award. And so when you go by the stats, we'll have to see it after 17 games for each, because finally we're going to catch up this week with the Patriots bye. But Drake Maye has the V and the value in terms of the guys around him, and he's right there with all the stats. But boy, if he has a 300-yard game in a meaningless game against the Dolphins in Week 18, is that really going to make a difference? But if we hold Stafford's coach against him in these arguments, you then have to ask, where does that stop? Do you hold the schedule against the Patriots? I think it's a really, really dumb argument, right? It's in any given Sunday league. I think that's the worst argument you could give, and so many people are giving it. But if we're holding the coach against Stafford, do we have to hold the coach or the schedule against Drake Maye? Or maybe we just need to simplify it to this. And it goes back to what these guys wrote, Graff and Adkins. If you take Drake Maye out of New England, they are a truly awful team. Awful. We're talking about another 4-win season, even though that defense is better. You had Christian Gonzalez and Marcus Jones last year. If Matthew Stafford is taken away from the Rams, are they that bad? I doubt it. I really doubt it. If there's some replacement level, for the Patriots, it's Josh Dobbs. I don't know who the Rams backup is. But, they put it together with Baker Mayfield off the street a couple years ago. That's how good McVay is. So do we hold that against them? I can say that with pretty good certainty. If you take Drake Maye off the Patriots and you take Matthew Stafford off the Rams, one of those teams is way, way, way worse than the other. The Patriots are, again, picking in the top 5 if Drake Maye is not on the roster. If any replacement level guy, if it's Jacoby Brissett, we actually know how that looks. We know exactly how that fucking looks. So maybe I'm biased because I do a show called The Wicked Boston Show, and I'm wearing a Patriots hat right now. But if we're taking the V in value and the stats, to me, it's Drake Maye. It's got to be Drake Maye. He's probably going to have to be near flawless for the rest of the season, because we saw any given Sunday, man, Stafford had a lackluster week last week. They lost. So, you can't afford to slip up like that. You can't have a game where you go, 17 for 35, a touchdown and 2 picks and 200 yards even. You can't have that. That's how close this thing is. But Drake hasn't done it hasn't had a bad game since week 1. So, and I'm starting to think that their bad game, their hiccup game, was against Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, and they still won. And he still threw for 294 yards in that game. He was awful in the first quarter. Awful. And then threw for a career high. So anyway, my vote goes towards Drake Maye. And it's probably because I've watched every game of the Patriots for the last 20 years, and specifically in the last 2. I saw what it looked like last year without him, and I see what it looks like this year with him. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Drake Maye or Matthew Stafford for NFL MVP? Let me know in the comment section. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we come at you live every weekday, noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio is right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Maybe it's just because I'm a Sydney Sweeney guy. Jennifer Aniston's great and everything. But Drake Maye, I think, is going to win this award. I think he is the shiny new toy. And the only thing I can kind of compare it to is in 2016 when Matt Ryan won the MVP. Now, Ryan did not have as good a career leading up to that as I think Matthew Stafford has had leading up to this. And he certainly didn't have the Super Bowl to go with it. But you look back at that, and it was like Matt Ryan and Brady had missed 4 games, and even then he was still the best player in the league. And it wasn't, the case of a shiny new toy. Matt Ryan was the shiny new toy, and he got it. So Lamar Jackson in 2019 had a great year. I think he was the unanimous MVP. And, there wasn't really any competition to it. 2018, that was Patrick Mahomes. He was the shiny new toy, but he was also much better than Drew Brees that year. So he got 82% of the vote. So for me, the shiny new toy syndrome might just get you the MVP if you're even close. And Drake Maye is close. Drake Maye's beating Matt Stafford in a lot of these categories. So it's going to be a fun couple of weeks. The Patriots, obviously what we care about is how they're going to do in the playoffs. But until then, it's going to be fun to watch if Drake Maye can solidify this as one of the all-time great Patriot seasons and win the NFL MVP. But again, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If Drake Maye is winning the MVP, then that means he's the best player on the Patriots. But if MVP stood for most versatile player, that would go to someone else on the team. And this guy is the best Patriot that nobody is talking about. And he's setting NFL records. We will tell you who that is next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Designed to elevate the off-road experience, enabling adventurers to conquer any terrain. For 50 years, you've trusted us on your toughest recoveries, to your most breathtaking destinations, and in countless unforgettable memories.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on their screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. We offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at bizchair.com to transform your business. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Welcome back here, Wicked Boston Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeping us on the air live on YouTube every weekday, noon Eastern time, and then available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Patriots heavy today, even though it's the bye week. Maybe they're watching. They're not practicing. Maybe they're watching the Wicked Boston Show. They know that it's their lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. And of course, Drake Maye is the talk. We've already talked about him. He's the talk of the whole season. And he's taking up all the headlines for the Patriots because, they've turned it around thanks in large part to him. He's probably going to win the NFL MVP. But unfortunately, that means that we're not talking about some of the other guys on the team who are making a huge, huge impact here. Guys who are becoming foundational pieces for the next great Patriots run, the potential next great Patriots Super Bowl team. And this guy that I'm about to talk about is very, very much a part of that. The unsung hero of the 2025 New England Patriots. Marcus Jones is the best punt returner in NFL history. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of the NFL history books. The dude goes 94 yards for a touchdown on Monday Night Football. It's the most electrifying play of the game. And then he gets 2 more punt returns for 30 more yards. 124 on the game. And that is what puts him in the history books. Because to qualify for the all-time record for average punt return yards, you have to have 75 career returns. And now Jones has that. And he is now the NFL all-time record holder at 14.6 yards per return. Breaking George McAfee's record that dude set 75 years ago. Nuts. Crazy. It's probably been broken since then, but dipped back down. Marcus Jones has it right now. The Patriots have this year's league MVP in Drake Maye. They have a top 5 corner in the game with the All-Pro Christian Gonzalez. They've got a budding young star in Will Campbell, and they've got an aging star resurrecting his career on the back 9 in Stephon Diggs. But their most underrated player and their most versatile player that they have on the roster is Marcus Jones. And he has shown it to you on defense this year, on special teams this year, and in the past, he's shown you on offense as well. This dude is not limited to a position. He is a football player. And when you go around Gillette for that game against Buffalo, you'll see a bunch of 10 jerseys. You might see some 8s. You might see some 0s. You're not going to see a lot of 25s. Not going to see a lot of Patrick Chungs. No, seriously. You're not going to see a lot of Marcus Jones jerseys. You're probably not going to see them on sale in the pro shop. But is there anyone doing more right now? Is there anyone better at their position right now outside of Drake Maye than Marcus Jones? And he got an extension. Okay, he's getting recognized by the team. He got an extension last month for 3 years and $12 million a year. And honestly, it's an absolute steal. It's a steal. I see that contract getting signed and I'm like, the first thought is, what does this mean for Christian Gonzalez? But really the first thought should be, what does this mean for the Patriots? This is a bargain at 3 years for 36. He's already made an all-pro team as a punt returner. He's going to do that again this year, by the way. And what's amazing is how much he's grown at his natural position at corner. You can make the argument he's even better at that than he is as a punt returner. And that's kind of what separates him from some of the greatest punt returners of all time. Those guys were specialists. Devin Hester and Josh Cribbs. They were specialists. They tried so desperately to make those guys into real NFL wide receivers, and they couldn't really do it. Marcus Jones is a legit NFL corner. He's out there for 80% of the snaps. He never comes off the field, and he's got 3 picks this year. So as great as he is in the return game, he actually won AFC Defensive Player of the Month in October. The best defensive player in the whole conference. Josh Cribbs and Devin Hester never came close to that as an offensive player. This is insane value. And not for nothing, he's the only saving grace from your 2022 draft class. The only one. You remember that one? That's Cole Strange and Jack Jones, Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris, our good friend Tyquan Thornton. Yeah. Needless to say, Marcus Jones is the only one left. And outside of a couple deep ball receptions for Tyquan earlier this year, he's the only one still making an impact in the NFL. And I haven't even got to the craziest part yet. He's the most versatile player on the team, and you haven't even gotten the full package in a couple years. My man has 3 touchdowns this year. He doesn't even play offense. This is a guy in 2022, his rookie year, was playing some receiver for Bill Belichick, and he averaged 19 yards a catch. Granted, it was 4 catches. But how about this for efficiency? 4 catches, 3 first downs, and 1 went for a touchdown. I'd say that's pretty damn efficient if you ask me. Ask his new head coach, Mike Vrabel, about efficiency, catching the football, being a threat every time you catch it. Vrabel knows. He knows all too well. And maybe the most flattering comment I've heard about Marcus Jones this year came from David Andrews when he was on 98.5. He said, Marcus Jones looks like a throwback Patriot. And that's what I keep thinking about with this guy. He's the kind of player that the Patriots always valued more than most teams around the league would when Belichick was running the show. That's where you see, Mike Vrabel is not a Belichick disciple. He's not really in any way, never coached under him. But that's where they have similar values. This is a nickel corner. They drafted in the 3rd round. Too small, too skinny, couldn't play physical enough to cover slot guys. We heard it. He heard it. But he found a way. Found a way to stick on a roster as a special teamer. And now he's statistically the greatest punt returner of all time. Josh Cribbs, Devin Hester, they got nothing on Marcus Jones. They certainly weren't as versatile as Marcus Jones. Of course, he could have, 7 yards per return 3 times next game and dip below the NFL record again. But hey, right now he's got it. And it's not very fluky. He's been that dramatic. He did it to start the game against the Giants. You remember a couple of years ago, he had the basically the walk-off winner against the Jets. They punted to him with like 10 seconds left in the game, and it was 3-3. And he took it back for a touchdown to win the game. Like, this dude's got a flair for the dramatic. And when you talk about the foundation pieces that will be there for the next Patriots championship run, Marcus Jones has to be in that conversation. Maye, Gonzalez, Campbell, Milton Williams, Travion Henderson, Marcus Jones. Teams were scared to take this guy in the draft. Now everyone in the league would take him on their roster tomorrow. Like, again, there is no one. I'm not saying he's the best player in the league. Obviously, I'm not saying that. But there is no one who brings more value to 2 facets of the game than Marcus Jones. Maybe Travis Hunter will do that someday. But this dude's the best punt returner in the league. And he's proven this year he's one of the best corners in the league. Genuinely. a top 10 corner in the league, best defensive player in the AFC for a month. And that's not even his best position. It's crazy. And I'm glad they stuck with this kid. I'm glad he stuck it out here because he probably just getting started, by the way. He's in his prime right now. He's 27. And these next 3 years, they're going to get incredible value from him if he stays on the field. And there's no reason to believe so far that he won't stay on the field. And I'm shocked. We knew he was a threat in the punt return game. I'm shocked at how good a corner he's become. Because I just thought, man, there's going to be times where he's not going to be physical enough. He's not going to be big enough. And that's not the case. He is that good. So is he the most underrated player in the NFL? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. About 90% of you watching aren't actually subscribed. Helps out the channel a lot, and it helps you get direct to the Boston Sports Radio alternative every lunchtime, every noon Eastern time, live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. We are right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. When we come back, we're going to take Zach Burke into the fold as well. We're going to take him out from behind the glass because we're going to talk about what is my favorite sporting event of this year and how it may be in trouble. Are we not going to have Olympic hockey because the stadium's not ready? We have got the disheartening update next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
And now back to the show. The Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart here on Rogue Media Sports Network. We come to you live on YouTube every weekday, noon Eastern time, and then available wherever you get your podcasts as well. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio, and it's right here on the Wicked Boston Show. I want to get into what is the most anticipated sporting event of the year, 2026, for me. Usually it's, the Bean Pot, and then something else. This year, we've got two great hockey tournaments in February. We will still have the Bean Pot here in Boston, but we've also got the Olympics. That said, there's an alarming report coming out, and I want to react to this. I want to react to this with Zach Burke, my lovely producer, confidant, the one who keeps us on the air 5 days a week live on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. I'm going to bring him on because he's getting shy. Zach, I know, is looking forward to this because I can't hear him. He's muted, I believe. And we talked so much about the Four Nations last year. I think I got you into it.
You did.
Big topic on the show. It was the tournament we didn't know we needed. And the best part about all of it, because it didn't end well, but the best part about all of it was that it was building up for this year. and the Olympics and having the NHL players back in there for the first time in 12 years. Like this, and to be honest, as much as I love the sport, the 12 years without the NHL guys, it sucked. It just sucked. Because the college kids weren't going. You were just getting a bunch of scrubs, guys who were 36 and couldn't sign an NHL contract anymore. It just stunk for Canada and the US specifically. And now we've got the best of the best supposed to be matching up again, except for the fact that, Zach, the NHL might pull their players out of this thing because according to this Frank Saravalli report yesterday, Pete DeBoer, who is on the coaching staff Team Canada, went out to check out the rink and said, yep, it's not done yet. And the Italian Olympic officials say there's no plan B. There's nowhere else to play it. And to go on top of that, they actually looking at the ice surface, which is typically larger than the NHL. This is actually 4 or 5 feet smaller than the NHL. That's a massive deal here. Like, what the hell is going on?
It's
incredible.
The thing that has got me too, and I don't want to kill any of it, what you're going to get to probably, but is the fact then that they're also pushing back like test events for this just to see if like, oh yeah, everything's going to work. Yeah, we'll be able to run it out less than a month before the women's tournament is supposed to start, which I think is on the 5th. And they want to try to do a test on like January 9th or 11th to make sure everything is working okay.
Yeah, it's like, hey, can we get 16,000 people in here safely? Do the toilets work? Do we have internet for people? Like, can we broadcast the games? These are huge, huge things that have not been tested yet. And that we don't know even when they're going to be tested. That's like a rough estimate for them.
And in most cases from reading is like, most of this stuff is done a whole year before you even get anybody in there. And the fact that there is no plan B just baffles me.
It's crazy. So I talked about this last night with my fiance who likes hockey a little bit. And she says, well, can they just put it somewhere else in Italy? And I'm like they don't have hockey rinks. Like they don't have professional size hockey rinks to just go to. If you did this in the US, yeah, you could. The last time they had it in the US was Salt Lake City. So if you didn't have something ready, you could have gone to Phoenix or, Vegas probably had something, or Denver. It's not ideal. You're a long ways away. Denver, I guess, would be the best. You're a ways away, but you just hold a separate event. You hold the skating events over there. They don't really have that luxury here. And that's their own fault. And this is why shit like the last 12 years happens. And, I hated it that the NHL players weren't going over there. But like, this is what you run into of there's no infrastructure. I think the first one was in South Korea, 2018 was in South Korea. And like, there wasn't the infrastructure for it. There's no,
because
there's a ton of partnership. 14. Yeah. There's a lot of partnership that has to go on to send the NHL guys there. And now we're in a position where they could not send them. And who the hell knows what you're going to do? You might not have ice hockey.
Well, can I ask you a question about this too? That I was reading this article and I thought of, and maybe it's just me not knowing enough about hockey, but I at least feel like I know that on a more international kind of level of game, I feel like there's not as much. It is more just like, I don't want to say speed and skill, because obviously there's speed and skill everywhere, but that like the North American game is a little bit more physical.
Very much so.
So I wonder then, like, and I know that affects like the roster make, like how they build teams and stuff like that. I thought in this is 3 feet gone from an ice rink affects that too, of like team composition and what you're planning to do. I know you did. I think in the article that you sent me, they talked about last month, it was the Penguins and the Predators maybe played in Sweden somewhere, and it was shorter. And so they made the neutral zone, I guess, a little shorter in between so that the offensive areas were still the same. But I would think that goes into how you're going to plan to play a game and to put your team together.
1000%. Yes. Ask any Bruins fan of a certain vintage when they played at the Old Garden. Absolutely. There was roster construction around the fact that they had the smallest ice surface in the league. And like, you hear these debates for Team Canada. They have these young kids Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, who are having awesome years. They're certainly the future of the team, the country. And, there's all this stuff about like, well, obviously these guys should go over Sam Bennett, because last year the Four Nations was played on NHL arenas under NHL rules. That's the other thing. These are not NHL rules. It is much less physical. There's much more ticky-tack penalties, and there's no fighting. So there's no roles for some of these checking guys. Sam Bennett's a power forward. But now you might want him back out there because there's not the same amount of ice for Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini to skate into and play into their roles. In fact, this actually, if it goes off and they do play it at this arena, that's probably an advantage for the Americans. Like again, you're right. The North American game is so much different from the European game, but the U.S. has more power forwards and more checkers than Canada does. So maybe that does factor in to how they're building the roster. So it's fascinating. And it's a problem that we shouldn't be running into in 2026. Like I expect this from the World Cup bullshit, but I guess the Olympics is just as corrupt,
But it is. Come on, FIFA, the Olympic, they're kind of like
they'll put it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I love from it too is it's not only just that, but they already told them before going in, like, hey, the situations, like the accommodations you're gonna have to deal with too, are gonna be a lot worse anyway. Like they're already having dressing rooms and trailers like across from the stadium that's not finished.
And that sucks because the NHL, I'll hold the NHL to the fire on so much shit. I think there's so much stuff they do wrong, but like it's tough for me to blame them here. And they need this so bad in a way. Like this was such a success, the Four Nations last year. You take this to a true global stage. That's such a big deal to keep that momentum going. And it's big for the Olympics. And so this would be a massive fuck up if they don't get this. And so I do wonder, can the NHL put something together in a month? It's a lot. These arenas have already booked out things, but can you put together a Four Nation style thing? That was short term that they did it last time, and it was still like a year. This would literally be like a month. You say, hey, we'll go with the Olympic standards for roster size and everything, like you've already put together, but we'll play it under NHL rules, and that's what we'll do. So there's going to be some benefits and drawbacks of it, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they can do that.
Like
it's tough, man.
That is. Well, and like you said, like 2 months, and I'm assuming they're going to try to find it somewhere close by though.
And like all these arenas, man, these NHL arenas, the NHL is going to take 3 weeks off here. Like the league is taking 3 weeks off so that their players can go. So these arenas have booked it out. Okay. They've booked out concerts, they need that revenue. And it's all gravy. So maybe you can find some places that don't, you'd have to play it in Canada, that don't share with the NBA because most of the US places do. But even still, like you're booked solid. I don't know, man. This is really not a problem that the NHL needs right now.
No, it's not, because what I get, like, you would want, obviously, with the way the tournament went last year, like you talked about, we all got into it. I watched, Sweden play because I was into the entire tournament. That's what I love about like Olympic hockey and even Olympic basketball and stuff like that. Is I will watch other teams just to be like, all right, let me watch this matchup. And I find myself watching and enjoying more of like the international style there. If you don't know where you're going to play, you might be able to house them there. It's going to affect the game that's going to happen, which I think I could be in the minority that thinks this. I think you affect any playing surface that people are used to playing. You run the risk of more injury and stuff too, just because in your head, you're used to one thing and, it's just a little off. Like, especially somebody who plays hockey as much as they do, some of that becomes second nature of just like where things are around you and your spacing. So you're right. This isn't what the NHL wanted, as for sure when they decided to let players go back over there. I think they were thinking more of, we're about to get another boost like the Four Nations tournament, except on a grander scale. And It's not looking like that so far.
Nope. This is bad. Right now, it could all work out, and I really sincerely hope it does. But if the Italians take Olympic hockey away from me, I will have no choice but to stop single-handedly funding my local Olive Garden. I will have no choice but to do so.
I will, you know what? I will take that. I'll make that pledge with you. So it'll be 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Problem. We can get some signatures on this. It's a weird full circle because the last time the U.S. played in the gold medal game, I was watching it in the North End, which is Boston's Little Italy. So it's almost cruel in a way. And I was 12 when that happened. Anyway, I can't wait for that again. That was one of the great sporting games of my life. I need it. I need it, Zach. We all need it. Is it going to happen though? Let us know in the comments section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you every weekday live at noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. It's right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Thank you to Zach. Thank you to everyone for following along, and we will see you tomorrow on the Wicked Boston Show.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.